Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to the podcast. This is the Mystic Visionary, and I'm here to pick another word for this week. And if you don't know what that's about, go back to episode 1 and it explains it all. Okay, I've got my box and I'm moving my crystal out. And I'm going to search, I'm going to search around for a word. They're kind of all gobbed up together. Oh, the right word will come. What do I need to talk about today? All right, here it is, right here. Peace. The word is peace. Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. All right, I'm going to go meditate on this word, and then I'll be back to talk about what it means in the new paradigm. Okay, I'm back. Wow, that was great. I'm happy to speak about peace. And what came to me when I was meditating is there are two aspects of peace that I want to talk about. The first one is inner peace, and then the other is external peace. First of all, inner peace is a huge thing. We live in a world today where inner peace is something that isn't easy to find because we're so stressed out and so many things are going on that just feel crazy, and we're so busy in our lives and externally focused that having inner peace is really something that's sort of difficult. I found that when I meditate and when I take time, that quiet time for myself, it helps cultivate that inner peace. The other part of that is that fight or flight, that system built into us. Our body knows when it's stressed out, so it goes into that hyper state of fight or flight, and that's anything but peaceful. But then there's that peace and calm, or that rest and restore, when we take time to do some deep breathing, connect, let go of the outside world for a moment, and then you get into that peaceful state of rest and restore. And that is the place of inner peace. And that has to be cultivated. We have to work towards that. It isn't an automatic. I find peace like watching a sunrise or a sunset, or being at the ocean or at water. When I'm in nature, I can feel that sense of peace, and it comes from outside me and sort of comes into the internal, and connects me to this greater understanding. So inner peace is like so important and so primary for happiness. I just was listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he was talking about how much healing he's found in the work that he's done. And he's, scientific research, and he's proven over and over again how people can heal themselves. And he said that 80% of people that go to the hospital, their condition is connected in some way to stress. And most diseases begin as a stress response. So stress is this thing that our body is constantly being inundated with, from toxic chemicals, from toxic noises, from externally focused attention, watching the news and social media and getting all attached to things. And that's the biggest thing, finding attachment to things and feeling like things are right or wrong. And then all of a sudden it just stirs up this stress response. And that is the beginning of disease right there. So finding inner peace is like so important, so important. And I know that for me, I catch myself all the time spinning out into scenarios of, worst case scenarios, or what ifs, and I feel my body getting stressed. And I have to stop myself. I catch myself and say, all right, take a deep breath, come back into the present moment, find your center, and experience that sense of inner peace. I mean, it's critical that people find that place of inner peace. And you can do it any way that you find works for you. Some people find it by nature, like I said. Some people find it through meditation. Some people find it through prayer. Some people find it through art or doing some kind of creative pursuit where it takes you into the zone and you're suddenly, time and space has sort of disappeared. I can do that as well. That's the space of peace and calm. So inner peace is huge, and if that's something you have an issue with, then I encourage you to find ways to cultivate peace in your life, your inner self. And I think the part that I need to talk about that came to me during meditation is this idea of the more your body is aligned, the more you're physically aligned with the three-dimensional world, the world that's, which you can see right in front of your face, the more stressed you are, the more dense your energy is, the more expansive you become, and the more you connect with that bigger field, that peace and calm in the present moment, where time and space sort of disappear, your energy field grows, and that brings you a bigger sense of contentment and peace and tranquility. And I think that we have to recognize, it's one of the guiding principles of the new paradigm, is that recognizing that we are multi-dimensional energy beings, that our physical body is just one aspect of ourselves. And when you're in the stress response, you are in your physical body, and that is, my computer just dinged, and I am just going to let it be in here. Anyway, when you're in your physical body, it's your energy is just really dense, and that's where the stress response is. The more you expand and you breathe and you connect and you allow these multiple layers of energy, your energy field to expand. The Heart Math Institute, which has done huge amounts of research for 20 years or 20 plus years on the heart-brain coherency, they talk about when your brain and your heart are coherent, the energy around your heart can expand like 10 feet around your body. You have this invisible aura that expands when you're in that place of coherence, which is peace and calm. And your energy field just grows. And that's where people, talk about, wow, that person has some really good energy. Well, that really good energy is because they're in that state of inner peace, and it's radiating out, and their energy body is expanded and grown. When you're in stress, when you're in fear, when you are in worry and concern and worst case scenarios, your energy field shrinks and shrinks and shrinks until it's so small and tight around your body. It's restrictive. And that's what leads people, like Joe Dispenza talked about, to illness. So inner peace is like so important. I keep saying that. And I also am saying it to you, but I'm saying it to myself, because I can spin out just like everybody else, and I'll read something or I'll see something or something happens that triggers me, and I immediately start to get into that stress response and that fight or flight. And I have to catch myself. And one of the ways that I catch myself is I feel my shallow breathing. My breathing gets really very shallow and very low. So I have to stop, take some deep breaths. The other thing that I found that sort of leads to anxiety attacks for me too. It's like anxiety then raises. The anxiety gets higher and higher, and I think, okay, I need to bring myself back into coherence, that, heart-brain coherence, breathing, staying centered in the moment, imagining anything that I'm grateful for, thinking about the beautiful sunset, being grateful for the life that I have, the breath that's in my lungs, the beautiful flowers that are blooming, the beautiful full moon that I saw last night, and I just have this gratitude. And when I breathe and when I imagine those feelings of gratitude, my body doesn't know the difference. My body starts to respond And I start to feel calmer. I feel my energy body growing, my vibration, my frequency is elevating. And that is inner peace. So I encourage you to practice inner peace. Now, the other aspect is a little harder, the external peace. That's something you really don't have a lot of control over. We live in a world today where war is a threat all the time. We have things going on right now that are happening. Things are happening in the Ukraine and other parts of the world. And we don't seem to have any control over that. And we have this huge empathy, and we think about the lives and the families and the cities, countries that are being destroyed, and it's frightening. And it seems so out of our control. But I have to say that one of the things that is a promise from the new paradigm, which I really hold to be true, is that holding space in our collective consciousness for the concept of peace is very powerful. And it seems like it may be hard to overcome this culture of war that we have, where we have this military-industrial complex that's like this function in our society that needs to be fed, and these corporations and these the industrial complex, all the pieces and parts that hold it together, that military complex, it wants to continue to live, so it finds ways to promote its existence. And that is just a consciousness that we have allowed to continue in our world. And it seems impossible to believe that we could hold peace as our dream, as our belief, as our way of life. But that's what we're being called to do. Those of you who are listening to this, those people who have been called to hear the changes and the hold space for the new world that's being created and emerging. And that is partly in that response to this shift in the age, into the age of Aquarius, which is this divine feminine, the aspects of the feminine that I talked about in another podcast. It's like there is nurturing, there is cooperation, there is community, there is peace, there is love, there is finding alternative ways to violence. You know, what can we do instead? How can we make peace treaties? What can we do to settle conflicts? That is the feminine energy that we haven't had for, eons. But it is emerging. That is what this age of Aquarius is about, and that's what is happening on the planet. More and more people are having peace consciousness, that we don't want to see people destroyed by war. We don't want our soldiers to have to go fight. We want to find peaceful resolutions. And there are peaceful resolutions. But when we have a culture and we have this military-industrial complex that thrives on war and needs war in order to build and grow and continue its function, it's not possible. So we have to turn away from that. And if that collapses, then it's meant to collapse. It's only being held up by the collective consciousness. And that means you and I, each one of us holding peace in our heart, holding peace for other people, recognizing the new paradigm guiding principle number 1 of unity consciousness. We are all connected. What we do to another country affects us. What we do to another person affects us. We are all connected. This is an energetic connection throughout the whole planet. We are all connected. So if we start to hold peace as our primary consciousness and turn away from those ideals of that, the military-industrial complex, that isn't set in stone. That isn't, oh, that's just the way it's always been. That's just the way it has to be. Absolutely not. Not true at all. That can be different, and it can and it will be. The suffering that war has caused is so profound that it's uncomprehendable. I have been affected by the results of war in my life dramatically throughout my family. It's like it's a historical wound through generations of men in my family who have been wounded emotionally and physically, and their lives have been taken by war. So I know firsthand what it's like. My father had PTSD from World War II. My late husband had PTSD from Vietnam. My uncle was killed in World War II. My grandfather was in World War I. Their lives have been altered, and their families have been altered because of their experience and how that affected who they were within their families. And it's pervasive. It's everywhere. It's all through our culture. We all have to stand together to bring the consciousness of peace, elevate that, hold that, and believe that it is true and possible. So peace is a huge word, and it is so powerful. And it's like just holding the word peace in your heart. If you meditated on the word peace, it just changes you. It's one of those higher vibrational frequency feelings. And when you contemplate peace, and you really sit and meditate on the word peace, and you feel it internally, what it means to you, what a world would look like if peace was a valued belief system or feeling, and it is, but it needs to be more, then understand what it means to you. Do that. Just meditate on peace. You know, Marianne Williamson, the spiritual teacher, she ran for Congress, and she's run for president a couple of times. But her idea that I just 150% support is creating a Department of Peace. We have a Department of Defense in this country that gets millions, if not trillions of dollars a year. But she suggests creating a Department of Peace and having it have the same amount of funding as the Department of Defense. What a different world we would live in if we valued peace as much as we valued defense. And when I think about that, what a shift in the world, what a shift in consciousness, what a shift in everything it would just be. So we can hold that thought. Imagine that thought. Just say, imagine the same amount of money that goes to the Department of Defense going to the Department of Peace, and what would that look like? What kind of systems could be created? What kind of programs? What kind of, like John F. Kennedy thought every young person should go into the Peace Corps and do a couple of years of service in the Peace Corps. Well, that could be part of the Department of Peace, to have young people go out into the world and go help other people and see different cultures and understand how people live differently and have a deeper understanding of humanity. You know, that would be a great thing for the Department of Peace. So I just love that idea. It's a great idea. Well, so peace starts, though, with the inner peace. You have to have inner peace before you can go and to the bigger peace world. So I just encourage you, if you're listening to this and you are stressed out and worried about everything in the world, part of that change that has to come is from the inside. You've got to connect with your inner peace, and it is there waiting for you. It's not that hard to find. It's letting go of all the clutter in your head, all the fear, all the worry, all the future-based or past-based information. Get yourself into the present moment, however you can do that, by being in nature or working on a project or an art art project or anything, whatever it takes. Even go if you want to go fishing, or you want to just go do anything that takes you out of your everyday and brings you into the present moment. That's where you're going to find inner peace. And then you have to make it a conscious effort, and you have to make a commitment to creating peace, inner peace in your life. And once you start experiencing more inner peace, then your consciousness elevates, and the outer peace will become part of that. Like, the more we become peaceful within ourselves, the more our consciousness will help us elevate the peace belief on the planet, that we can create a world where we have peace. All right, I think that's it for the word peace for today. I'm really grateful to whoever gave that word or wrote that word for me. I love that word, and I'm glad to be reminded that I need to reconnect with my own inner peace more often and catch myself when I get spinning out of control. All right, thanks for listening, and I will be back next week with a new word. If you want to learn more about the 5 guiding principles of the new paradigm, you can listen to my audiobook, which is The Pocket Guide to the New Paradigm, which is a free audiobook on YouTube. I'll link it below. And the other thing that I have available is the Heart Archetype Quiz. It's a short quiz that answers the question, am I listening to the call of my heart? And you take the quiz and you'll discover what might be blocking you from living the call of your heart. And I think that's what we're all being called to do right now, is to look inside, connect with our heart, and follow its guidance. If you want to take that quiz, there's a link right below. If you have any questions or comments, feel free. You can also leave those below.